Hi, welcome to part two in this three-part series dedicated to helping you tune up your 401k in 2023. This week, we're going to focus on a 401k investment choice that's almost tripled in popularity over the past 20 years and now represents more than half of all 401k assets for the newest generation of investors. It's target date funds, also known as Lifecycle Funds. If you own a target date fund in your 401k, stick around for some suggestions on tuning up your account, because you may be paying for a first-class seat but sitting in coach. I'll show you what I mean. Let's get started. To begin, let's clarify what distinguishes target date funds to make sure we're all on the same page. The easiest way to spot a target date fund in your 401k is by the fact that it has a year in the name of the fund. Many target date funds don't even have the words target date or life cycle in the name, so you can look for a year ending in either a 5 or a 0 is the easiest way to spot this type of fund. Now, target date funds are always associated with the year because they're designed to take on less volatility as investors approach their retirement year. So, for example, investors that want to retire in 20 years would use a target date fund with a 2045 vintage because that's around the time they want to retire. As those investors grow older and they approach their 2045 target year, the fund will allocate away from stocks and into bonds to create a more conservative, income-driven portfolio for retirement. A key reason why target date plans are so widely held by investors is the fact that 99% of new 401k plans make these the default investment choice in your 401k account if you don't manually select your own investments. And in my opinion, a target date fund is the right choice if you don't make a choice. It's the best set it and forget it option that I'm aware of, if you're okay with your employer deciding how to invest your money. But since you clicked on this video called Tune Up Your 401k, I'll share my critical perspective on target date funds. My main objection to using a target date fund is that for the price you're paying to hold a target date fund, you could get a much higher level of service. As I alluded to at the top of the video, I would analogize the level of service you get from a target date fund to sitting in the back row of a Spirit Airlines flight. Now, to be clear, in my opinion, that level of service is not necessarily a problem. If you're looking for the cheapest way to get from A to B, Spirit Airlines can be a good fit for what you're looking for. However, what I think is a problem is paying for a first-class seat on British Airways just to sit in the back row of a Spirit Airlines flight. And that's what can happen if you're invested in a target date fund. Let me illustrate. Here are 7 ticker symbols from some of the world's largest target date funds with a 2045 vintage. I sorted these based on their expense ratios, from the highest on the left to the lowest on the right. So the question is, what do these expense ratios add up to in dollars and cents? Well, that depends on how big your investment is and how long you hold it. To illustrate, I'll calculate the cost based on the following common scenario. Take a 40-year-old who wants to retire in 20 years at age 60. Let's say they currently have $200,000 accumulated in their 401k account and plan to contribute an additional $22,500 each year going forward, which is their current IRS limit. Over the next 20 years, if they average 6.5% growth from their 401k investments, their account will grow to about $1.6 million by the time they retire at age 60. So if this person invests their 401k in a target date fund, how much in expenses would they pay if we estimate the cumulative fees over 20 years based on the current expense ratios in this chart? Here's the answer. As you can see, the most expensive target date fund would cost over $200,000 in fees based on our assumptions, whereas the cheapest fund would cost about $12,000. You can make what you want of this, but for me, there are 2 takeaways from this illustration. First, let's start with the lowest hanging fruit. If you really do want to invest in a target date fund and your 401k allows you to pick from multiple options, I'd suggest finding the cheapest option for your target retirement date and seeing if there's anything compelling enough in the more expensive funds to steer you away from that cheapest option. However, doing that may still not get you the lower expense figures in this list if your plan doesn't offer the lowest cost options. And at the end of the day, the biggest takeaway for me here is that paying almost $12,000 in this example for the cheapest option, Vanguard, is still like paying for a first-class seat and sitting in coach. Don't get me wrong, Vanguard is an incredibly sophisticated firm with a great reputation, but investing in their target date fund will not personalize the service you receive based on the most important variables of your life. Variables like your specific concerns with issues like inflation and unemployment, how your 401k investments complement your non-retirement investments, or don't, and ultimately, your desired lifestyle in retirement. Since I don't like identifying a problem without offering a solution, here's my pitch for turning this issue on its head and offering you first-class service at a bargain price. For $1,000, my firm, Andante Financial, would happily provide you with 2 personalized investment plans for your 401k. Here's what the service would look like. We'll hold 2 meetings over Zoom together. In the first meeting, we'll focus on learning about you. We'll gauge your risk tolerance, explore your desired retirement lifestyle, and identify what other investing options your 401k plan has available. We'll end the meeting by scheduling our second meeting for the following week. That's right, you can wrap this all up just a week after you start. In our second meeting, we'll deliver 2 personalized investing plans for you to keep going forward. The first plan is designed for those that simply want the same investment allocations of a target date fund of their choice, but at a fraction of the cost. It'll do that by spelling out the specific underlying low-cost investments and weightings you can use from your 401k plan's investment choices to easily and independently replicate your target date fund's approach both now and in the future. The second plan we deliver will offer a different perspective for your consideration. It's our firm's independent recommendation tailored to your personal circumstances. As a CFP, CFA, and CPA with 10 years of experience in the financial industry, I like to share the second plan as my personal take on what personalized expert advice looks like if you've never worked one-on-one with a fiduciary advisor. And because I believe that trust should be earned instead of assumed, Andante Financial will only charge you $1,000 for this work after you've received our services and confirmed that we delivered what we promised. If this is a service you're interested in exploring further, there's a link in the video description below where you can start the process by filling out a simple form that takes less than a minute. And since I like to provide multiple potential solutions to a problem whenever possible, feel free to stick around for my closing thoughts, where I'll share a website that you can use to find other fiduciary financial advisors that can also help with this type of work. As promised, I'd like to share a Find an Advisor tool which is maintained by a group called the XY Planning Network. This search tool, which is linked in the description below, allows you to filter through almost 1,000 advisors around the US based on factors like advisor specialties and location. It's a good resource for finding qualified advisors because the tool only includes advisors that have their CFP marks and sign a fiduciary oath. And as full disclosure, I'm actually a member of the XY Planning Network, but again, I'm providing this tool in case you'd value reviewing multiple options for working with an independent advisor to optimize your 401k. And with that, we're done with the second video in this 3-part series to help you tune up your 401k in 2023. If you haven't watched part 1 of this series yet, I'll link that at the top of this page. And once part 3 is uploaded a week after this video debuts, I'll link it at the bottom of this page, with a placeholder photo of my dog Daisy until that video comes out. Until next time, thanks for watching.